If you're just joining us, welcome to BizWire. Earlier in the show, Ian Jacobs brought us an update on Xi's trip in the U.S. And now Michelle Lai joins us to give us the details on one joint venture announced during his trip. It's between DreamWorks and a group of Chinese media companies. Michelle, what can you tell us?
Susan, DreamWorks Animation, the company behind hit animation movies like Shrek and Kung Fu Panda, will be working with a consortium of Chinese companies that may likely include China Media Capital and the Shanghai Media Group to set up a joint venture animation studio in Shanghai by January next year.
Okay, now Michelle, before we talk about the joint venture, can you maybe tell us a little bit about the two Chinese companies?
Well, Susan, the government-owned Shanghai Media Group is China's second largest broadcaster, and China Media Capital is a fund backed by SMG, China Development Bank, and China Broadband Capital, another IT fund.
All right, now how much will be pumped into this joint venture studio? Do you know?
Well, Susan, it is said that the Chinese companies and DreamWorks Media are planning to spend over $2 billion over the next 5 years. And according to the Beijing-based Caixin magazine, the amount will be shared equally by DreamWorks and the Chinese consortium. The joint venture will be called DreamWorks East. All
right, now do you have any more details on DreamWorks East that you can tell us? Maybe what its main operations will be here?
So, Susan, mainly it is reported that DreamWorks East is a studio facility where movies, TV, as well as live stage productions will be produced for the local market in China. DreamWorks will also be the film distributor, and according to Caixin, DreamWorks may use the success of its Kung Fu Panda film series as its initial subject matter for DreamWorks East. And the firm is planning to release its first blockbuster film in 2015. Also, there are plans in the pipeline to design theme parks in the future, Susan.
All right, now have we heard anything from the companies, and do we know how this joint venture will actually benefit them?
Well, Susan, this week, both DreamWorks and the Chinese consortium did not make any comments on this deal. But last November, DreamWorks CEO visited China and he reviewed this plan to the Chinese government. This is according to Caixin. It is said that the construction of a facility in Shanghai marks the latest push by a Hollywood studio for a piece of the action in China's fast-growing market. So according to Hollywood Reporter, Hollywood studios are looking for wider exposure and other ways to take advantage of China's strong economic, population, and box office growth. And this is amid a slower film industry momentum in the U.S., Susan.
All right, now Michelle, the Chinese government currently restricts foreign films. It's a limitation of only 20 foreign movies that can be imported each year. And Michelle, I know there has been some speculation that this policy could change during Xi's visit. But given all of these obstacles, why do you think Hollywood studios are so determined to push further into the Chinese market?
Susan, you're spot on the quarter, but to go around these restrictions, it is best that DreamWorks work with a local company to launch its films. And this is not the first partnership between DreamWorks and a Chinese company in China. So the Hollywood studio has been dealing with Youku.com or China's YouTube to distribute its movies. Also, some of DreamWorks' competitors has also established joint ventures in the region. So experts are saying that there is a high probability that this deal will happen. Now, another reason why it makes sense to make a big move in China, some media says it all boils down to numbers, Susan.
All right, can you explain what you mean exactly there with the numbers?
Well, some industry experts have said that it makes sense to further penetrate China given the Chinese contribution to DreamWorks in terms of revenue. So to give you an example, last summer, DreamWorks Kung Fu Panda 2 took in $18.5 million over its two-day opening weekend in May. The film has since then earned $92 million in China alone. Now, altogether, it's collected $492 million from foreign territories. So China made up a fifth of the international territory contribution for this movie.
All right, well, that is definitely a huge chunk. On a macro level, do you have any numbers on the size of the Chinese cinema market? It appears to be very attractive to DreamWorks.
That's right. So according to media reports, China is the third largest cinema market in the world, so it is very attractive, behind the US and Japan. Last year, it saw a growth of 29% in box office, putting its gross box office at $2.09 billion. It is forecasted to be the world's biggest cinema market within the next decade. And one last point, Financial Times also said that the country is adding new movie theaters at a rate of about 3 screens a day, the fastest growth rate in the world, Susan.
All right, well, this definitely falls in line with China's plans to boost its cultural industry. Thanks, Michelle. We're going to go to a break, but when we come back, we'll have why one company hoping to list on the stock market is upsetting celebrities. Don't go away.